Okay, folks, welcome back. Finally able to get down and do some painting. And nothing has transpired since last time we were on here. So we still got the Soviet trucks. And I started doing some weathering and then just ran out of time and have not been able to get to the painting table. So these two are complete, weathering wise. We got to weather these three, and we got to do some windshields. We have to do some headlamps, and we need to paint the bases on these. And hopefully these haven't hardened up too much. I think we'll be okay. So let me put the base color of brown on this, and while that dries, I'll go back to weathering the actual truck. So I'm gonna set these guys off to the side. Get the chocolate brown and a brush that's going to be abused because yeah, this takes a toll on them. It's kind of a rough surface, so that's the one I was using for dry brush. We need one that's a little bit even crummier than that one. Yeah, this should be fine. What a week. What a freaking week this has been. And I don't even bother connecting my phone as the second camera because I'm going to have to do some searching on doing the windshields. That's coming up here in a little bit. We're just going to put some of this paint down here and then we'll mix it up. 6 of these to do, and we probably wouldn't mind using this little implement. We'll see how many people show up on a Friday night. And see if our regulars show up, as I've got some new information. Justin, welcome back. What's happening from northern Michigan? Well, so earlier this year, I was talking about we're going to take a big vacation this year, and and I in jest I said, if we get to go, because after COVID, everything's up in the air. There's all kinds of variables that didn't exist before, and it was going to be our trip to Europe, which we've never gotten a chance to go to Europe, and our cruise got canceled about 6 months ago, so it's not a big deal. I had not had my heart set on it. And so we were looking for an alternative vacation. We like going where it's cold because, we don't need any more warmth. So you were on here last time, so we're supposed to, and I always like to say supposed to, because if I tell you that A is going to happen and it doesn't happen, trust me, I'm the first one to be upset, and it's against my wishes. But we're supposed to go to Canada. Day after Christmas, we're supposed to go to Canada, and it was going to be down like -5 degrees where we're going. And I just checked it today, and it's like down to like 20. I'm like, that's temperatures it gets here. We're in northern Florida. We get 18 degrees. 18, I think, is the coldest I've ever seen. Not including, feels like, but actual, degrees. And 18 and wet here, so. So anyhow, I had originally asked for a vacation. I had originally asked, we're closed next week anyways. And I had originally asked for, when you're going to Europe, a long freaking time. Mr. Ben, welcome. Good morning. What? No. Unless you moved to Australia. I had originally asked for all of this week off and all of the first week in January off. And because my plans changed, and I really do not want to be on vacation unless I absolutely have to, because I have to do the work that transpires while I'm gone. So, it's like basically being tortured. It's not just work, it's, because things change and shit like that. It's the change is really the problem. If it's like, oh, we have to do this many hours of work, fuck it, come in on a Sunday and knock a bunch of stuff out. But it doesn't quite work that way. So I went from taking 9 days off to only 2. And just to take the 2 days off, the 2 days off being the 2nd and 3rd of January, has been a nightmare. It has been a complete nightmare. Just go barrel Alaska during the winter. Why would I want to go somewhere that Russia didn't want? No, I've heard good things about Alaska, but anyway, so we're supposed to go to Calgary and Banff. So we're looking forward to that. I got some really comfortable snow boots that look good too, and I'm looking forward to wearing them for about a week. And that's what it is. That's what the plan is. And if I end up not doing that, well, then it was against my wishes. But today was my last work day for like 12 days. So the good news is the weekends don't really count. It's really only 2 work days. And the plant's closed next week, so hopefully everything will go all right. But the weather keeps getting warmer, and every time that I've ever traveled somewhere cold, when I show up there, it gets warmer. The first cold trip we took, we went to Utah, and we did it during my daughter's spring break. And when we left here to go to Utah, it was colder here than in Utah. And I actually could have worn shorts. And there was enough snow on the ground only because I think like 3 weeks before it had snowed really badly. Have I ever been skiing? No. No, I wanted to, but now I'm too old for it. And it's not that I'm too old for it, but, I grew up in the 80s where we all roller skated, right? On the 4 wheels. And I had never been ice skating because, I live in Florida, so where the hell would you go ice skating? On my honeymoon, we took a cruise, and I did inline skating for the first time. I was 30, so that was, 23 years ago, something like that. I had never done inline skating before, which I thought was pretty easy, because, we all roller skated in the 80s. And the cruise ship also had an ice skating rink. And I thought ice skating was actually easier than rollerblading / inline skating or the regular old, because you could just walk across it, right? It's not like, okay, we're going to move and you keep sliding and stuff. The ice skating was pretty easy. So about 10 years go by, 10, 12, 13 years go by, and my wife's best friend is stationed in, her husband is stationed in a city very close to mine where they have an ice skating rink. And we go up there to visit them, and the girls want to go ice skating. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a breeze. I've already done it. It's pretty easy. I go, and I'm probably, 42 at the time, something like that. But I'm using muscles I've never used before. Okay, like my ankles, and I don't consider myself somebody who's like, obviously I'm not a runner. I'm not like in super fit shape, but I don't consider myself to be in bad shape really ever. But I put on those ice skates and I couldn't stand up. I could not stand up. I'm like walking on like the sides of my feet. I'm like, it was extremely humbling. And at that point I realized, I don't need to go skiing. As much as I'd like it, it's going to cost a ton of money. I'm going to get hurt. I don't have those muscles built up. And let's say I do okay. It's something I'm only going to do once a year. So, no. We'll stick to snowmobiling, tubing, trail riding, that kind of stuff. But skiing, nah. Told you, move to Michigan. We have 4 seasons, fresh water, no sharks, no gators, no poisonous snakes. I don't have a problem with sharks, gators, or poisonous snakes. You guys have too many taxes up there. You guys are full of Yankees. I love snow, but I don't want to shovel it. I don't want to deal with that. So, maybe we'll go to Michigan one time, but I'm kind of done trying to go to Europe. It's just a pain in the ass. You fuckers are too far away, And then the the what do you call it? Where you're all out of the wrong time zone, and it's just too difficult. It's too difficult for me to take that many days off in a row. It's just too difficult. Um, Forget the cost. Let's say the trip was free. Let's say somebody was paying for my trip. I can't get off work. You know, it's in the 40s today. That's warm. That's warm. So anyhow, we'll get to see what Canada's all about maybe if we get to go. And I say that because everything's just ever since COVID, there's all kinds of bullshit that gets pulled on you at the last minute. And last thing I need to do with the last thing I want is to relive situations or have feelings that happen while I'm at work that I'm getting paid for that I don't like. So if I'm doing them for free, yeah, I'm not really happy. So I don't want to. I don't want to go somewhere where I got to wear PPE. If you don't know what that is, well, you probably don't have to work PPE for your work. I don't want to wear steel-toed shoes anywhere. I don't like doing any of the things that I get paid to do that I just put up with. I, I'm always floored, and I've said this before. People that are defined by what they do for a living. Um, yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to do that in my spare time. I don't like to talk about what I do for a living. I don't hate what I do for a living, but if you stop paying me for it, it's not like that's going to be my hobby. And yeah, so we'll see. So since COVID, what happens is I have this. What's the word I'm thinking of? Cynical view. Cynical view of something can go sideways at any moment. So it's hard to kind of relax when you're on vacation. And then before you know it, your vacation's over with. So, but I mean, what could go wrong? I'm only really taking off 2 days of work. They're only working 2 days. So what could go wrong? I mean, I left everything done. Yeah, well, things go sideways. So, but I suspect we're going to like it a lot. I would be surprised if we don't like it. But I'm a little leery of going out and exploring on my own because, the idea of going out in the wilderness where there's big predators in a country where you're not allowed to be armed is not my idea of a good time. But I think we'll like it. We were looking at tours to do, and it's like, hey, there's this ice walk that has an ice bridge. I ain't walking on no bridge that doesn't exist in the summertime. That just, you complain about sharks. I ain't walking on no bridge that's invisible. I get in the ocean, I don't even think about sharks. If I'm the only one out there, yeah, sure, but I just figure somebody else got to be tastier than me. So that's what happens in this time change. I've been getting home from work very, very late. Well, in the seven something zone, and I'm just tired. I'm just like, by the time I eat and everything, it's like 9. I can't start my show at 9. It's just too much. It's just too much. So we should be on tomorrow morning again. For those of you that do the morning stuff. Which is what, the 23rd? I should be on the morning of the 24th. And yes, I'll be on Christmas morning. I'm planning on it. I get up at 5 o'clock a.m. It doesn't matter what day it is. So we'll do a ho-ho broadcast. And then I'm going to be MIA for a week or so. So might as well get this done while the sun's still shining, so to speak. But no, never been skiing. My wife hasn't either, and it's probably never going to happen at this point. Um, Last time I went to a ski resort was in Breckenridge, and everybody there was in a bad mood. Maybe they didn't want to see me. You sleep much? No. I sleep more in this house than in the other house, because the time change has just really screwed me up. But I'm sleeping about 6 hours a night. 6, 7, not more than that. And the other house, I've been known to get like 4 hours of sleep. But I wake up at 5 a.m. because, if you have to, that's the time I have to wake up to not be rushed Monday through Friday. So, if you have to retrain yourself about just waking up whenever on the weekend, which actually for me, I don't know if I could sleep in later than like 7:30 in the morning, but if I did, then you have to recalibrate yourself every week. So I'm just like, fuck it. I have my alarm set for 5 a.m. I get up, I get to do whatever the hell I want, which, sometimes involves, just checking the internet before I know it. I've got to get ready to go to work, but I do whatever the hell I want to do to get the day started in the right direction while the girls are asleep. I move out of Florida? I don't see that happening. Too late for that now. I've been at where I work for 30 years. I'm not starting somewhere else. Where could I live that's not Florida? Well, it'd have to be in the United States. Sorry, I'm a spoiled American. Could I live in Michigan? Probably. Michigan's free enough. Tennessee's nice. It's a little too far away from salt water, but I like how Tennessee considers themselves the South. Well, geographically they're not. Maybe mentally they are, but I'm not used to living somewhere where there's a lot of old shit. Like I wouldn't do well in New England. There's nothing new about New England. I mean, how old is England for New England to be new? All right. This is done. Northern Maine is nice. It's full of maniacs. Is that what you call people from Maine? That's what I call them. I bet it is beautiful. Did I move out to the panhandle? No. Hell no. I now live in the town that I work in, which is 15 minutes. It's one exit north on I-75 from where I was before. So, it's the same. It's the country, but it isn't. I mean, it's not like I live on a dirt road or anything like that, or Lime Rock Road, or no, I wouldn't live out there. I'd rather move to Panhandle. Gets raped with storms, bad storms. No, I moved, and it's 16 minutes or something like that. And I don't miss the old house. I mean, we had a good 20 years there, Hopefully the people that bought it get to enjoy it as well. But I do miss having a ceiling fan, but it's all right. This house is a lot cooler. A lot cooler. We have a back porch we like to use a lot. And it's always breezy here. Unlike in town, where there was no breeze. All right, where is that one that I said? This is the one I was using for the dry brush. It's this one. But I don't know. It's psychological. I can't imagine living somewhere it's not Florida. I don't know. It's funny. A friend of my wife used to live in the Northeast for a couple of years, and a friend of her that lives up there said, "Oh, we can never go to Florida because they're just they're anti this and they're anti that." I'm like, okay, well, we really don't need more people to come to Florida, so just stay up there if you want. I mean, Do you still get together with Mitch? I haven't gotten together with Mitch in probably 7 months. Nah. No, actually, we have a group chat in between people, and there's been no movement on there. So I don't know whether they're playing at different times or I'm not. I don't need to game bad enough face to face to kill myself on a work day, on my busiest work day, to go out there and game. No, I hope they're still having fun. It's not like I wish them any ill or anything. It's just not convenient. It was not convenient before I moved. Now it's really not convenient, and just work is just extremely challenging busy. Extremely challenging busy. And I just don't see it changing. You know? I mean, if there's anybody praying for a recession, it's me. You know? Let's slow this shit down so we can catch our breath, but I don't see it happening. So I don't know what they're doing. I'll still get together with them and game with them, maybe something on a convention, but I honestly don't know what they're doing. If I ever put on a game or something like that, yeah, they're invited. It's not like, we're enemies or something like that, or we're not talking. I send them messages from there and backwards, but it's just, especially with this time change, I mean, by the time I get to his house, it's dark. I'm just exhausted, I'm exhausted and it's his day off and he gets the next day off too. It's like, nah, that's just too, it's just too difficult for me. Mondays is literally the worst day of the week it could possibly be. How you been, John Peter? We're supposed to in a few days go up to your land up there, but not where you live because you live over in Ontario, don't you? Northern Virginia. You guys think you're the South? Are you near, what's those two cities that we drive by? Dumfries and Manassas. Oh, Manassas hurts. Dumfries. That's what the girls call it when we went by there. Every state has silly name places. Like I said, this was a nightmare. I cut down my days off from 9 to 2. And I mean, I have more than 2 days off, but the plant's closed during them. I mean, I wish they would just tell me, like, okay, these are the days that we're going to be closed, and I'll take vacation there. Then I can just walk away from the place. It's been a nightmare just to take freaking 2 days off. There's just too many problems, too much work. And I can't do any of it from home, so I'm not very sympathetic to people that cry about, oh, I gotta stay at home. I gotta wear whatever I get to all day long and whatever temperature is. I don't. It's on deaf ears. It's on deaf ears. I just hope the next 15 years go by really fast. I'm ready to drop anchor. I know those places living nearby in Loudon County. Put a little bit of this in here. I still have to go up a level. Did I do the lighter color on this? No, I didn't. It's amazing how that just tells you how many brain cells I've been losing from work, that I don't remember something I did 4 days ago. Well, it wasn't like a life-changing experience. I bet if it was, I'd probably remember, but I'm like, did I end up doing the lighter color shade? No, I guess I didn't. Automotive worker? Not me. They don't build cars in Florida. I think the place that's the closest to Florida where they build automobiles is probably northern Georgia. Huntsville, Alabama, they build Toyota stuff up there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, this one's next. Alabama. I think they built some Nissans in Alabama. Now that I think about it. Both of our cars are made, according to the sticker, 100% in Japan. So. That wasn't by design. That's just kind of what happened. Merry Christmas from the land of Oz. Merry Christmas to you, James. Another part of the Commonwealth reporting in. .25mm Marians this evening. Cool. You know anybody who does 25mm? You know, the real 25mm, the old school ones. It took a while to. I think people are used to calling 28mm 28mm, not, big 25. I build any World War II Japanese stuff, so I don't. I haven't. I have about a platoon of Japanese troops. The reason I have them, and I didn't do anything with them, is because they're out of production. When I got a hold of them, I wanted to get a hold of them before I couldn't get them anymore. I'm not really into the Pacific War very much. I'm already American, so I'm kind of like to role play a little bit and do other things that aren't American based. But if I did do the Pacific War, I'd probably do something like Burma or New Guinea. And I've never built a Japanese aircraft or a tank. I probably will at some point. I should build a model of the Tony. Think about it. I don't know. I grew up when I was wargaming with a couple of folks that had this attitude of, if Americans aren't in this, I don't want to play. So my natural reaction was to basically be a contrarian to those folks. Like, I'm already American. I already get to, it's not like you get to make any cool accents while you play. I'm already American, so I want to role play a little bit. I want to be somebody different. Real life, I'm glad I'm American, but I mean, I'm just saying on the battlefield, you know. So Kevin, you'll like this if you're still on. I haven't been able to paint as often as I wanted to, but I have been doing a little bit more console gaming than normal because it's like I got 20 minutes. What am I going to do? And I picked up World of Tanks again. Playing a little bit. For free. I don't spend real money on that. And man, I want to like War Thunder more, but there's hardly anybody playing it. Sometimes you go in there and like, oh, let me play some War Thunder ships. And it's like, man, it just spends like freaking 3-4 minutes just looking for a game to join. And the grind is a lot longer, and it seems like the grind in War Thunder is a lot longer. So I have done a bit of video gaming, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of mildly entertaining because you don't have anything to show for it. Gonna do some French tanks soon. Cool. Yeah, French are neat. The problem with the French tanks is the Germans they fight suck. They just don't look right. You know, they got all those tanks that don't have the storage basket in the back. I don't know. It's just a little too early for my taste for the Germans. Could be worse. It could be Poland where they use like, white crosses. Give you a hard call. More obscure factions don't have a kind of starter sets put together without thinking much. Downside is all history becomes red versus blue football team match. I take it England is red. French tank looks cute and zippy. Most of French tanks are anything but zippy. They're slow as shit. 1940 fastest French tank is what? An S-35? The Renault 35s and the Hotchkiss 35s and 39s are all slow. Cute little things, but they're slow. Charbie's slow. The S-35 is the only one that's reasonable speed. You're just doing them to do them. Yep. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just doing these things just to do them. Have something to talk about. I don't think I'm ever going to go back to I got to get this done for this show, or I got to get these done for a game that I've already scheduled. Like, nah. I'll get this stuff done and then I'll schedule a game maybe. But I don't need more things to stress out about. So those of you guys who've been to Canada, what are some tips? What are some do or don'ts? I don't think I'm going to change any money over. I think I'm just going to use a credit card. I mean, why exchange? Why do the money exchange? Well, in case you're somewhere you have to pay with cash. I don't have any cash in my wallet, and I live every day not doing cash stuff here. I don't think Canada's that much different. I have a zero in-person opponents beside my brother. You have, yeah. You have zero person opponents, except your brother. Yep. Well, this is just therapy. This keeps you from, being an alcoholic. Like, man, how do you decompress from work? Let me have a drink. Nah, fuck it. Let me paint something. I am prepared to make fun of people that act like it's cold where I'm going. Because I don't think we're going to be that cold. Well, the three of us like the cold weather. And if the weather out looks like what it looks like, it's not going to be much different than our coldest days here. And they're going to be drier there than they are here, which means it won't penetrate as much. So I don't think I'm going to be, I don't think I'm too worried about that. I'm worried about the dryness, so I'm already prepared to drink a lot of water even though I'm not thirsty, so I don't get a headache. My daughter, of course, is excited because the drinking age there is 18, so she'll feel like a full citizen there. Not that that keeps her from having anything to drink from, but, she'll be able to sit at the bar and feel like a full person, so I get it. I get it. I had an interesting conversation with a wise older man this last week. And we were talking about this and that, how to solve all the world's problems, etc., kind of thing. He was just kind of on a ramble. And one of the things that he mentioned is, he doesn't understand how these people go and they take down this fetish that they have for taking down monuments, for whatever, around here. He said if they did that in Europe, if they took down all the monuments in Europe that were erected by people that weren't PC or worse, there'd be no reason to go to Europe. And I laughed. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a point. If you take everything down, I mean, what do you go to Europe for? If it's like, oh, the Colosseum offends me. I got to take that down. Like, you just don't even go. Like, that's a good point. I'm ready to be done with work. A relatively, we've had a cold week for Florida, right? Should have left the Confederate statues up. I should put them in a museum. I get it. I get why there's no statues to German shit and they lost their war, you know? I get it. I mean, but a lot of those things are a nice work of art, you know? Put them somewhere. If you're going to tear something down, destroy the Picassos. Those look like shit. But the statues, I get. I get it. You don't want to put a Confederate thing up, so put them in a museum or something like that, you know? That shit's well done. I mean, it doesn't bother me. My people weren't over here yet. We're still taking siestas in the old country. But yeah, that's what he said. You know, if you tore down everything offensive in Europe, there'd be no reason to go. That's a good point. I mean, I'm pretty sure that anybody who built any castle in Europe was probably an asshole from one point or another. You know? But damn it, I want to go see a friggin' castle. Ah, the old rules question. Yes. Um, if I play with these, the only rule set I can imagine using these for are a rule set called the Face of Battle. Why can I only imagine using them for that? Well, they're the only ones that are anal retentive enough for me. You know, because I'm not a rules converter. You know, if other people play other set of rules that I don't like, have fun. But there's a reason why I want to give this kind of detail to these miniatures is I want to play a set of rules that gives it that kind of historical flavor. And I'm not going to go through all this effort to play something like rapid fire, which is vague, at best, or flames of war or something like that. It just doesn't turn me on. It's not doesn't have enough detail. It's not specific enough. I was playing a game of Flames of War several months ago, well, or maybe it was a year ago, and we had some Panzer threes that are long barrel Panzer threes, and I'm like, okay, which ones are they? Oh, they're just long barrel Panzer threes. Okay, what I mean, are they late model J's? Are they L's? Are they M's? What are they? Oh, it doesn't matter. The hell it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not gonna build the models of a freaking Panzer 3L if it's the same as a freaking J or in the rules. I'm like, that's not the rule set for me. You know. Again, I'm not like most people. That's fine. Apparently, WIG is working on new hordes of things that balance things out, combines DB elements like fast, solid distinction. That's what I heard. I picked the perfect time for my exit strategy from that. I don't ever see playing another set of Phil Barker's rules. And I love the man. I really do. He's brilliant. But I'm tired of fighting his wars. I don't want to fight the wars that I have to do because he doesn't write in a way that most people can understand. So you're arguing about the same thing. You're not necessarily arguing because it's not ugly. Arguing for me means people aren't coming, but you having to it's like a plane that constantly has to be retrimmed. You can't ever put it on autopilot because it's always, out of trim. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. So, no. And I really do like the man. He's brilliant, but it's like, I'm tired of fighting his wars, And it's only a war for me because I want to have people to play a game with. I don't want to just build something and there's nobody to play with. But I'm putting a whole lot of effort. I love doing heraldry and stuff like that, and painting markings on tanks and stuff like that. But I want the rules that have enough detail that rewards me for doing that specificity. I don't even know if that's a word, but I just invented it. Fuck it. I want to find out if I'm building 100 Years' War English knights. I want to do the research and learn about them and paint them. That's the fun part for me. But if their knights are treated the same as somebody else's, like, okay, well, I'm adding a lot of flavor for these guys that just end up tasting like cardboard, For both some, please be careful. Not to mention 100 paces replaced with base widths. I'm not playing another game in a tournament. And I have not had what I would call bad tournament experience. It's just if we come across, if I want to play a set of rules, and if something comes across that doesn't make sense, I want to be able to clarify it or change it so that it does. And you can't do that if something's in a tournament because you set a bad precedent, and you also, let's say you change something and you really like it, but every time you go and play in an event, you've got to play a dumber version. And I mean that loosely because a version you don't like as much as the one that you made modifies through, modifications through. So you're basically doing yourself a disservice. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to go there, Well, I don't wish him any bad. I keep asked all the time, hey, how come you don't do DBA stuff anymore? And I'm like, I'm not going to make a video about it because I don't want to make a negative video. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing the game for almost 2 decades. And I probably would still be playing it if it wasn't so exhausting trying to keep everybody up to date with it. And I got to the point where I want to do World War II shit, and doing that is keeping me from doing this. I can't do both. I don't have enough energy to do it. So, if you like the battle reports that we did, that's cool. They'll still be on there. I'm not going to take them down. I don't have anything bad. I have no ill will against Phil. I met him one time. Seems like a nice guy. He's like a grandfather that I never met. I have no problem with the man. And I respect for him saying, fuck you. I'm going to write the rules how I want to. I respect that. I respect people that, that don't bow to freaking money. Like, I want to do this, but money says otherwise. I'm going to do what money says. Look, money's important, but you shouldn't compromise what you think of just because of freaking money. So I always respect people that do things not for the money. They do it for the passion of it, All right, now we need to do the light color, which is good old Iraqi sand. More people need to do things for honor and not for money. Eight folks, man, welcome. I can't see where this light is. I can't see the number of folks that are on there, but Thanks for coming by. And I got some comments for some usual folks if they decide to come back today. I'm going to go really light on this because I don't want this to look like it went to North Africa. Soviets in North Africa. This is actually really relaxing. Avalon Hills Tobruk was good. Never played it. But you know, Avalon Hill used to be the. I don't know that I've ever played an Avalon Hill game where the way the rules were written was confusing. I don't think that I have. And I've played Advanced Squad Leader many times. And I didn't think the rules were confusing. But I don't actually do well with abstract things. You know, so playing an abstract game is like counterintuitive for me. I don't do abstract math well, you know? I do math well, but not the abstract shit. Yeah, it looks pretty freaking good. I don't know what kind of lighting you guys are getting. I'm happy with it. But I went back to play World of Tanks, and I guess I hadn't played in so much time that I had a lot of money or credits or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they felt sorry for me or trying to throw credits at me or whatever. But anyhow, um, I was playing some vehicles I didn't even know anything about because they weren't made. You know, they were just their pre-production vehicles, and it got me to read about them. And I thought that was like pretty cool. Like shit, I'd have built some of those vehicles. You know, what the heck? You know, stuff like the T-29 and things that weren't. TV sucks. I agree, and you have nothing to show for it, and it sucks. And there's commercials. Now, I wish I could do this and watch television at the same time, but I can't. I don't have the skill set for that. So, that's actually my big motivation to do this is that I'm having some interaction. Because otherwise this is relaxing, but it's also kind of boring. So, I have a I have some folks when they come and visit me. One of them is literally a TV addict. They're on the TV constantly. And I'm like, I just bought a new TV and it's huge and it's beautiful. Man, I don't watch TV on it. I mean, it's for video gaming. I watch TV. Now, I'll tell you what, I would watch more TV if there was programming that was like the choose your own adventure stuff. They've done a couple of shows of that. Netflix has done a couple of shows like that where you get to pick what the character does. Like, okay, well then at least you have some kind of an impact. But just waiting around to see what somebody else decided how they're going to write the story is just kind of, I don't know, primitive. I don't know. Why would I do that? It's just not my thing. I watch TV when I did, in the early 90s when I lived alone with a tiny little TV. I was impoverished, and I just watched whatever was on the channel that we had. I think we got ABC and Fox. That's all we had, so that's what I would watch. Talking like 92, 93. Ambient music where you're listening. I would too. I'd listen to smooth jazz or something like that, but I got you guys. I don't need no jazz music. You guys are better than that. Be right back. I gotta go do another line of Coke. Another line of Coke Zero. Drank water all day at work. I don't know. Should have probably had 100 ounces of water, probably. So I'm done with my fill of water. That has just enough caffeine to keep me awake. Just watched the new Rebel Moon on Netflix and thought the special effects were good, but the story was really lame. Most stories suck. Bat reps to your TV. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. A lot of good hobby related bat reps and product reviews and stuff on YouTube. Who needs regular cable television? Rebel Moon. I don't know what that is. That anime? Sounds like it'd be anime. Well, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do things for fun. And unfortunately, you're so time consuming that your free time just goes out the window. I don't mean this, but playing certain games is really, really, not only is it a time suck, but it's also like, man, your free time just goes too quick. And it's not a particularly good story. And what I'm going to say about it is I decided to gift myself something. I don't buy games very often, but I'd heard really good reviews about this game, and I figured, fuck it, let's try it and do something different. And I'm not a big fan. It's kind of like a take on Star Wars. Okay. I really dislike the story, but like Seven Samurai. Okay? And that's the new Baldur's Gate. I played the old one way back in the day, I don't even know which one it was, whether it was two or one. I don't remember. It was so long ago. And I remember liking it. And it is a massive time suck. Now, the cool thing about it is, and the story is just stupid. It's just so fucking stupid. But there's a lot to do with the game. I think it has zero replayability. But it plays really, really slow. I mean, it takes, next thing you know, 7 hours have gone by. We're like, what the hell, But my daughter we're kind of playing it together because, you get to talk to people and like, well, what do you think we should do? So we're enjoying kind of doing that. Although I haven't played it in over a week, but she's visiting right now. She's off on winter break from college. But had great reviews, and I just realized, I don't really like role-playing games. I like the combat shit, but I don't like the other stuff. It's just, it's weird. I've played a fair amount of like fantasy stuff. I played a lot of Diablo. The idea that's like, oh, I can cast a spell, but it's only once a day. I'm like, well, what do? You polish daggers the rest of the time, You have to vary your, after all, Blue Space Marine, huh? I have any M1441 Italian tanks. I don't have any Italians either. I'm afraid to get into the desert. It opens up another, and it's my second favorite theater. My favorite theater is Barbarossa. The second favorite theater is the Western Desert. I mean, it's not even close. And then, you're talking about, Normandy stuff after that. But I got no problem doing Italians. But a lot of the Italian stuff is either very hard to get a hold of, or it's 3D printed. And it's 3D printed, the good ones are printed in England, the land of toys. And they're pretty cost prohibitive unless I'm specifically buying them for a particular project. Like I wouldn't mind getting a couple of Matilda 2s, which is like a perfect thing would be get the ones from S Model. But the S Model ones aren't the British ones. They're the ones that, go for to the Russian front. Do it for fun? Well, I will once I run out of stuff to do. I just can't justify spending that kind of money for a tank that I have to build the stuff that I have anyways. I kind of have to earn it. I kind of put that own restriction on myself to keep me from turning into like almost every other gamer that buys a ton of shit and doesn't do anything with it. It's not like I'm being forced to work on things I hate, but I got no problem with Italians. Less is more. So if a little Italian tank was $10 or something like that, including shipping, I probably would have already bought it. But it's gonna be more than that. I just at some point I'm like I don't feel good spending that kind of money considering I'm not going to do anything with it for the short term. I think this is a cheap hobby, but you got to have some self restraint. You can't just buy everything you want. And we've all done that before, and I've realized I feel like crap. I feel extremely wasteful. It's like ordering a meal and throwing the food away you don't eat. It just seems wrong. Or as my daughter found recently, we had to buy some lottery tickets for this potluck thing that we were invited to go to. And I hadn't bought lottery tickets in 20 years or something like that. I just felt, my daughter comes up to me and says, Dad, I feel dirty. I'm like, yeah, me too. I feel dirty buying lottery tickets. And my wife thinks I'm crazy. I am, but that's not because of that. But it's like, I feel like if you buy lottery tickets, it's like basically you're telling the world, hey, I'm a dumbass that believes in the Easter Bunny. Like you think you're going to fucking win. Really? So it's just, you're pissing up a rope. Pretty dull Marians turning into separate commands under Caesar and Pompey. Cute and zippy. Yeah. And they can be flipped over by some aboriginal folks. And then cook in the sun. It's those little tankettes. I got a scenario book that has Italian tanks in it, and S Model makes some decent stuff, and they make all the tankettes for them. I just got to find a source for M1139s and the M1340s. The SE kits are hard to come by and pretty expensive. I know Italeri reissued them, I think, but yeah, I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm more interested in doing Italians than say Japanese, because I'm just not interested in the Pacific. It's a cheap hobby compared to tinkering around with cars. It's a cheap hobby compared with boats, firearms. Geez, imagine if you flew planes. No, that's just stupid. Boats are extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. Being a... there's that damn heart. I don't know what you said. Or being a blank technology-driven musician. The Easter Bunny isn't real? Thanks, Tony. Thanks a bunch. That's right. I felt dirty buying lottery tickets. I don't feel dirty going to the liquor store. I don't have a drinking problem. Golf, yeah, golf is really expensive. And frustrating. Cars can be expensive, I guess. It depends what you're getting into. I can't wait to figure out whether I'm going to keep my car or we're going to do a new lease. We're going to keep it. I'm ready to start switching some shit out. Nothing crazy, but fog lights. Stuff I can handle with YouTube videos. Watch YouTube video, I'm like, all right, I can handle that. Or, oh, that's a little too involved. We won't do that. We finally got, this last week, a car wash put in this town. And why am I so excited? Because I work at a fucking dirt farm, basically. So my car is filthy. If I'm going to wash my car, it's like I'm going to go to the convention, or I'm going to go to a car show or something like that. And I'm going to wash it like when I get off work on Friday. And then as soon as I get back to work within 30 minutes on Monday, it's trashed. It's like all dusty and stuff. It's just basically dust. It's not really trash, but so I don't want to put all that blood, all that blood and sweat trying to get it all clean. And then, Mother Nature just ruins it in, a matter of moments. So we got this car wash. It's one of those subscription things. And the reason I like about it is I could go by there every evening after work, because it's even on the right side of the road, and because it's all included for that price. So I'm like, well, after work today, I'm gonna go take the car and get washed, and it has the only thing I don't like about it is that there's no place where you can a high pressure water hose where you can hose down I don't have carpet floor mats. I do, but I don't use them. I've got the ones that are the all-weather ones. And they've got this thing that cleans floor mats, but not the rubber ones. So you have to hand them to somebody for them to clean it out. That's really my only gripe. But, man, it's a blessing to be able to use some kind of a vacuum cleaner on your vehicle that you don't have to rummage around for quarters because it doesn't work on, a debit card or something like that. So that was kind of a fun experience. Dealers, let's go back. Well, I'm missing some good conversation. Welcome, Nordic. Golf is a time suck. Yeah, I can't do bolt action. No way. Dealers are being pressured to push EVs in the UK. Well, all people have to do is say, fuck you, I don't want an electric vehicle. Look, I'm actually. If electric vehicles had a third pedal, I'm in. But they don't. I don't want to drive a friggin' automatic. They're no fun. Oh, but they're faster. I don't give a shit. They're no fun. You know? They keep inventing things I don't want. I don't want an electric vehicle. I want a vehicle that goes to work for me so I can sit home and do this fucking show for you guys. Will you invent that? No. The problem I have now is all these new vehicles, you can still get vehicles that I'm kind of interested in, but they've put all these safety features like my wife's car has this, if you leave the lane, it does this thing. And if you beep, if it senses, because it's not, I'm doing it, it senses, because the way you put your hands up, that you're not looking straight ahead, beep, 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 it's doing this. Or I was like, I can't own a car like that. I'm punching it. I put my hand through the fucking, that was never needed. It's not like it's going to stop people from looking at their damn phones. They're driving with their freaking head in their phone all the time. If you disable that stuff, then you have all these lights on your dash that don't mean anything. So then you're training yourself to basically ignore all the lights on your dash, which is not a good idea. You know? German motorcycles. Not yet. I'm not yet, but I will. Do you use any special stuff with your transfers? I use transfers sometimes, but for this handwriting stuff, I'd rather just paint them by hand. You have a question in the general chat. Do you feel different about using different miniatures if their sizes are notably off? I don't mean on the same base, but units made up of miniatures from one company and then units made up of miniatures from another company. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem. It's probably more of a problem in World War II stuff than Ancients. Because, the size of an MP40 is the size of an MP40. Some guys are bigger, some guys are smaller. I get that. But you can't have one MP40 that's really big and another one that's small. Ultimately, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but I don't really have that much of a problem with it. So I was telling you, you were on here earlier, Nordic, that I took the plunge, and I heard so many good things about it, and I'd played the previous version. I ended up getting the Baldur's Gate, and I've been fiddling around with that for a few days. Not much, but just some. The daughter and I have been playing it. It's like, hey, talk to this guy. Well, what do you think is, and it's just not my kind of game. The story sucks. The story really is just stupid. And I don't think it has much replay value. It's a lot of deep. There's a lot of choices and stuff that you have, but it's too role-play-y. It's too role-play, like, I'm going to cast, heal hands. All right, now what? Oh, you can only do that until the next day. I'm like, well, I want to just play a fighter that can, stab multiple times each day, not just once and you're done. Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro. Yeah, whatever. Everybody ends up supporting something you don't like, whether you realize it or not. Just got to pick your battles. Can't fight every battle at once. But I realized after I got the game, I realized why it's so popular. Because you can be a binary character, you can be a half dragon, half ogre. You can be any kind of weird combination of non-human. It's like, I just want to play humans, man. I don't want to play somebody who's not a human. I'm a human supremacist. Humans first. That doesn't mean I want to kill all animals. I'm just saying, I want to play a human. I'm glad that in this lottery of life, I got to be a human. But the storyline's so stupid. But then I realized, this just kind of plays like like a campaign that somebody had was running. If somebody was running a role playing game, you can't just randomly get other characters. There's certain characters that are available in this world that you can get them to join your party, and that's it. And how you interact with them, that's fine. It's not like you get a random occurring character, which is kind of what I'm used to. I'm used to just getting a random character, not just you got this girl with the green skin that's a half orc, and then you got this mage, and then you got this one guy who's like a rogue vampire dude, and then you've got you have like these set characters. It's just kind of weird to me. I mean, you get to make your own character, like the leader of your party, but it seems awfully limiting. And I don't know. I'm sure I'll get my whatever money's worth out of entertainment on it. But man, the time goes by. It goes way too fast playing that game. You spend an hour playing that game and you get nothing done in the game. A non-binary dragon. Not only does the dragon go both ways, it goes all ways. A plot is just ridiculous. But it's well done. It looks good. It just takes place in a world that I don't care for, if that makes sense. And I played the original Baldur's Gate. I guess it's the original Baldur's Gate. The one with the dude and the little hamster, whatever his name was. Full plate and packing steel. Aim for the eyes, boo! God, I haven't played that in 30 freaking years and still remember that. It was entertaining. I'm not one of those people like, I've got to always enjoy this game and play it for 20 years or the year is a fail, or the game is a fail. There's other things that'll come along, I would get nothing playing the game no matter how much time I devoted to it. I've been watching quietly in the background, but I have to go do Christmas stuff now. Just wanted to say, Feliz Navidad. Thank you, Mr. Heine. Jared Heine. Is it Christmas already in Australia? Christmas in July. Or the equivalent, anyways. So that's one thing I don't realize is, if you're playing a game that's not historical, or maybe if it is historical, it applies as well. If you're playing a game, to enjoy the game, you got to like the world that it takes place in. Whether it's the 7 Years' War in colonial America, or, the beaches of Tarawa, or, the Russian front in a snowstorm, or, a land where dragons and people can make babies, and they get taken by, what is it? They could be taken by mind flares. It just, you gotta like what the background information, what the background thing is. And that's the problem that I personally have with science fiction, is a lot of times the world that the science fiction takes place in is not a world that I find attractive or even believable. Like, the science and the fiction are too far off. It just doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't mean that it's not any good. It doesn't make me want to play it anymore. You sent me a comparison image for Perrin and Pendragon. Take a look to see the difference in size is too drastic. All right, let me turn this so I can look at the screen, and then I will be right back. Let's take a look. Let's see what you think, what I think. Don't ask me for my opinion. I might just tell you what it is. But again, it's just my opinion. It doesn't really matter. Just like when people say, "Hey, you should do this." Well, as somebody who creates and paints things, your main job should be that you don't get burned out. Because if you get burned out, you don't want to create more things. And that's a loss. What glasses do I have to use at that distance? I think we need to use these. Let's see what you sent me. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, you gotta like the world that it takes place in. Because if it takes place in a world that doesn't appeal to you, it's not going to. Okay, there we go. All right, Perrin 10mm U.S. inventory. Okay, Pendragon 10mm, Victrix 144. Yeah, the Perrin and the Pendragon are pretty far from each other. Honestly, I like the Pendragon better. What's the Perrin just doesn't look like it has much detail at all. That's my opinion. Always make your own worlds for RPGs. One of the things that's really cool, and I brought this up before, I'm not interested in RPGs because I realized that after playing this Baldur's Gate game, I'm not an RPG person. I like games like Diablo, where they're treasure hunts. I don't want to have conversations and you don't have random encounters and you just get whatever you get. It's just a matter of when it shows up. Let me see if I can find this thing. I know I didn't get rid of it because I actually value this thing a lot, especially since it's out of print. And it's actually a pretty freaking cool book. And I have brought it up before. It's just a matter of finding it. This thing. Whoever came up with this, I thought this was a really good concept. The Lexicon, Atlas of the Lost World of Atlantis. And this is kind of a world that's based on our world, but it has legends and shit in there. Like you can tell this is obviously Africa, except there's a Sahara Sea. They even called it Sahara. So, it talks about all the different factions and it has some cities in here and stuff like that. I think this would be a great world to have a fantasy type of thing. This is part of North America, as you can see. This is up here towards Canada, Greenland looking type of thing. I guess this is what Florida is. We're in Tamarack. I think there's something in Florida called Tamarack. So, I think this is a great setting. And there's some countries that are all monsters. I think the France area is like full of dragons or goblins or some shit like that. I think this is a cool idea. But you gotta like what the setting is. And how it's carried out. There's some games that I've really enjoyed what the setting is, and I really dig them. Diablo being one of them. And there's some stuff like I played one of the Fallouts, and I just hated the setting. I just, it might be a great game. I just can't get into it. Oh, I did play some of that free one. What's that called? That game that you guys like to play, Elder Scrolls, a free one? Another shitty setting. So they make enough different games, you're going to find one that appeals to you, That's why they make so many different ones. So. The Battletech game on computer is excellent. Other than the unrealistic range that some of those weapons fire at, but can never remember. Is it Harebrained Schemes who makes it? I don't know. The game's beautiful. Game's beautiful. Is Battletech science fiction? Nah, Battletech's Battletech. So I did do one thing that I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to try this out before I go on vacation, but I'm running out of my surface primer. So just like everything else, it got repackaged and now looks like this. So I'm pretty low on this. I got this stuff again. I was going to give up on airbrushing it, but I'm like, I'm going to give it one more hurrah. And what I did was I went out to Hobby Lobby because they carry the airbrush that I have. And I'm going to have to do an airbrush video by the time I figure this shit out. Because there's a lot of stuff that is just difficult to kind of find out about things without trial and error. But my brushes comes with my brush comes with a .35 needle and nozzle, and I got the upgrade for the .5. So we have a little bit more space, and I think this will probably work. I'm optimistic that this will work well for priming, because the two things I want to use the airbrush for the most is priming and sealing, and both of them involve using a liquid or a paint, what have you, that is thicker than most things. So I'm going to need the thicker nozzle. So we're going to try that. It's going to work better. It may not be perfect, but it's going to work better than a .35. So when is my vacation? We are leaving the day after Christmas. We're planning on going. Notice how I worded that, because sometimes things change against my wishes. It's not my doing. The bigger the nozzle, the easier the paint will come out of. Yep. Found Flow Improver 50/50 works quite well with Vallejo primer. Well, we'll try that too. I know that the AK paint through my 3.5 works flawlessly. The AK paint, don't even have to thin it. Flawless. It's just this stuff is gummy. It is. It's elastic. You know, it's great, but it's elastic. So, and even then, I still have been able to make it work. So I just want it to be less frustrating, because I do this hand painting stuff and nothing here is frustrating. This is like a win every time. It might take a while, that's fine. But it's like, you know, it's steady accomplishment. So that's what? The two things is like 20 bucks, something like that. 25 bucks. What is it? One's $11.99 and the other one's $9.99. Yeah, whatever that is. I figured, let me throw money at the problem and see if it'll stick. But there's so much misinformation on airbrush stuff. You'd think it'd be political. It could be like politics. There's so much misinformation on it. Sometimes you just gotta try shit. Do it when you're not in a hurry. Not when, I gotta get this done for this game that I gotta put on tomorrow. Nope. Nope, don't put it on. Build your stuff first, then put the game on. Skylab, welcome back. Utah chapter. How you doing, man? So yeah, the plan is to leave after the day after Christmas, and we'll be back until the 3rd. And it better be fucking cold where we're going. Because if I was a superhero, my superpower would be to warm things up. Everywhere I go, they get warm. Like, no, I wanted to be freaking cold. If I wanted to be warm, I'd just stayed home. The year that we went to Park City, Utah, It was colder here than it was there. I could have worn shorts. Luckily, there was snow on the ground. It would have really sucked then, you know. But it was a lot warmer than I was expecting. Just got back from seeing the best movie of the year. Oh, Napoleon, of course. I don't think I'm even going to see that. I don't think movies are worth watching anymore. Well, how do you know they're not going to come out with a better movie in like 2 days or 3 days so it can be better than the movie of the year? I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to go see the Napoleon movie and then just be annoying during the whole movie. Like just sit there in the movie theater and something happens that you don't agree with, and you're like, what the fuck? Just be that guy. You watch your probably last good show before the woke virus struck up, and that's Poldark. Godzilla -1. What's the -1 have to do with? What's the significance of it -1? All right, are these dry enough that I can do some dry brushing on them? Or is it still wettish? I think we can move forward with this. Wettish. Poldark sounds like a really incompetent Polish detective, like Polish Inspector Gadget. Poldark. Did you finish watching the season 3 of The Boys? Because I've only made it in 2 episodes. Not even close about the Polish Inspector Gadget. I'm just saying that's what the name sounds like it would be. -1 means before first? I don't know. Sounds like that's a little lost in translation. Poldark takes place in Cornwall. Okay, that's the part that points towards Massachusetts, if I remember correctly. In the 1780s, Napoleonic Wars, dealing with Captain Ross Poldark and his life after serving in the colonies. It's historical drama and romance show. I don't have a problem with romance shows, as long as there's some cute girls there. I finished season 3 of The Boys. Wish I hadn't, because season 3 was tough, really tough. Though Starlight is a lot to say no to. I love the freaking Almond Joy and freaking Black Noir scene. Man, I laughed. I don't remember. That's all I remember. I don't really watch shit, so I do one pass on it. You wrote Santa a letter asking for a starlight for Christmas. But I doubt the jolly fat man will bring her to me for the holidays. You probably wouldn't share if you got a hold of her. She's cute. Thought Hornblower was quite good, though dated now. I tried watching Last of the Mohicans a few years ago, and I thought it was really dated. And that's a movie I really liked. It just, some things just don't don't age well. I don't know. They disagree with me. That's just my own personal take. Hey, there's so many things to watch. If I'm not really interested in something, it's got to, it's got to be really good, or I'm just going to go to something else. Um, the thing about the boys is it went on. There's a lot of character arcs that I just zero interest in. Um, the mute Asian girl, I don't give a shit what happened to her. I just didn't do anything for me. Um, there's just some of the characters that I'm just like, okay, oh, them again. All right, well, tell me when it's, you know, when they're when they're back to something else. But I guess that's probably a lot, the same with a lot of shows, I guess. What didn't age well with The Last of the Mohicans? The way the filming looked. It wasn't the story. It was the way the filming looked. It's kind of hard to describe. I'm not somebody who follows directors and this director does this and this, but it was kind of evident that it was kind of primitive the way the camera work was done compared to. I mean, it's not that old of a movie. I mean, it's early '90s. I don't consider the early '90s a long time ago, even though it is. Movies now tend to be, something would happen and then it focuses on a close up of one person within it and then it goes to another focus. They tend to be more focused like that instead of being like, okay, here's this scene and there's lots of stuff going on in different places. Like if they're talking, like I'm at the beginning of we didn't make it very far. We made it maybe 15 minutes or something like that. And there's a scene where, I don't remember what happened, but there's a bunch of guys towards the beginning of it that are like in this house and they're having a conversation. And the way they're arranged having this conversation, the camera work is like really, really dated and like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, it's not like I disliked the movie. I just didn't get very far and my daughter didn't either. So we're like, okay, well, we're out. Like I said, there's so many things to watch that there's no point in putting up with something that's just not your thing. I watched a few episodes of Sharp's Rifles. It was on something. I watched, I don't know, 7 or 8 episodes and just couldn't get into it. And I like Sean Bean. But when I'm watching something, I really can't do anything else. I can't paint. I can't do it at work. I can't do it while I'm driving. So when is it? Either sit alone and watch it, or lunchtime at work. And usually what happens is I'm so excited to get some time alone at lunchtime that next thing you know, I'm just catching up on whatever happened on Facebook or in the world or the news or something. And then when I'm done with lunch, I'm like, ah, shit, that's right. I should have watched that video on something or another. Star Wars movies are aging out. Anything that's Star Wars now, I just have zero. And I was a fan. The new Star Wars crap just doesn't interest me. I tried. My daughter's not interested in watching it either, so I'm like, I'm not going to watch that alone. I'd rather watch something else if I have to watch something. I wonder what's happening with that Star Wars hotel. I watched a couple of videos. I had no intention of going to it because it was like the new Star Wars, first of all. And it's, as expensive as going on a freaking cruise. A couple people did like videos like of them, and they were like adults. They didn't even bring kids, so they're just like, full grown nerd burglars. And they showed up at this thing. I know, I'm trying to get Rick in here. Invoke the nerd burglar. And there were a couple of videos, and it was kind of interesting seeing what it involved. And it's like, yeah, this is a totally different experience that I don't think they read their audience really well. Forget the price point, which was, ridiculous. But it's like LARPing. You're going in a freaking hotel to go LARPing. It's just fucking weird. LARPing is weird. Like, and don't get me, I think it would be okay. I got this one guy that I know, and he has a cool hobby. And his hobby is he works at a playhouse and he acts as a side gig. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, but you're putting yourself on as a character, not like some random person. Like, you're dressed like, Jar Jar Binks, but you got fucking sneakers on. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. There's nerdy, and then there's, dude, get a life, But it was interesting watching a couple of those videos where people went in and, they actually enjoyed the experience, but it was basically LARPing. Awkward. Ever use a sponge to paint bases? No, but it would work. Say his name 3 times and shut out the lights. And appear with his Panera coffee. No, he's out of refills. They had to stop that program because he freaking, Oh, shit. Invoke the nerd burglar. Uh-oh. I hear we got visitors. Rick always good for you laughs. That's why I keep him around. Yeah, he's a good-natured guy. He posted something the other day. Went to Cheesecake Factory or something like that. He's got this picture with his family. And they got the whole freaking course. Like, they eat their... I don't know if you've been to Cheesecake Factory, but I told him, that, look, you had freaking cheesecake there. The only way you can make it to dessert there is if you just have an appetizer and then go to dessert. But if you're having dessert, you didn't need enough of the free freaking bread, Yeah, he's got a great setup. He has a great setup. He is a bit creepy, and I don't care if he's listening to me. He takes a whole lot of pictures, and he's not smiling. He kind of looks like, he's going to murder the people in the picture. It's a little creepy. I don't think he's got bad teeth, so I don't really know what the shtick is there. But if you're doing the thing you enjoy doing more than anything else, which is gaming, you should be a little happier than that. Let me see where these people are. Hold on a second. I'm gonna step away for just a moment, and I'll be back. Okay, the girls are back in town. Nerd burglar icon. It's the bat signal. What would the nerd burglar icon even look like? Look like freaking Gru from Despicable Me with like glasses. Oh, it'd be the nemesis of him, whatever that guy was in the first movie. Everybody's nerdy in one way or another. Even these sports junkies. Do I use contrast paint? Nah, I'm way past that. I might have if it would have come out 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Maybe. How long have we been on here? Because the time really went by quick. A couple hours? Yeah. That's the one thing about dry brushing. Don't get discouraged if you dry brush and it doesn't look very good. If you're only putting one color on it, it takes at least that second or sometimes a third and a fourth color to really bring all this stuff to life. A pair of gaming dice? I don't know. I can't imagine playing a game that doesn't have dice. That's like friggin' chess or something. And there's so many people that are so superstitious about dice throwing and, you know, oh, I gotta I gotta use these dice and I gotta hold them this way and I gotta do this other thing and I gotta wear my favorite shirt and come on, man. You're more superstitious than a gypsy. Come on. Mr. Eric, welcome. Nearly done clipping all the administration counters for your Flying Colors games. Age of Sail, huh? I think I saw one of those being played. There's a crap ton of counters. Use fingernail clippers, or you got one of those Omega 3000 things, whatever the hell they're called. The ones that are made out in Washington State, or no, Oregon. What is it? Oregon something or another. It's got a funny name, like Oregon Pharmaceuticals or something. I forget what the hell it is. All right, let's see if I can get a glimpse of what this is going to look like. Obviously, we still have like grass and shit on there to put on there. Let's go grab an Opal Blitzy. We have a few of those. They turn out pretty good. Opal Blitzen. Of course, it's 1/76 scale. Not that I care. And we do have these little things that I think I'm going to make them removable. I don't want to commit to some of them being covered and some of them being non-covered. Looks a lot better with it covered. I don't think either one of them is a very attractive truck, but I think the Opal Blitz is definitely a better looking truck than this Clampett Special. You got the counters clipped under the Southern Cross, so I can get that on the table. Use large nail clippers. Can't be arsed to spend $50 on clippers that break easy. Southern Cross. Okay, we'll put the Opal Blitz over here. All right. So we got some headlights to do. That's pretty easy to do, and then some windshields. And no, I'm not going to do the little windshield wipers because there's no windshield wipers on them, for starters. That is a detail too far. They are gaming pieces. We're not building an IPMS type diorama. Model stencils. What's that? Okay, let's actually I need to take a small break. Nah, it can wait. It can wait. We're gonna paint the headlights and then we're gonna stop for the night. We'll pick up the windshields in the morning. Let's put some black and some white. You've never thought about playing any of those type games that you play there in Nordic with on the computer? Like, I don't mind those counter games, but I want it on computer so it can be set up immediately and it can be saved exactly where it's at. I don't have anything against counter games. Anybody ever play that old game from a company called 360 in the early 90s called V for Victory? Had a whole series of games on Velikia Lucky and Velikia Luki. They had a Stalingrad one. They had a Normandy one, Market Garden, Operation Crusader. Those were freaking great games. And you're basically moving around counters. The scale of the game, I believe, was a kilometer a hex or 3 kilometers a hex, something like that. And the counters were almost all battalion-sized units and some companies. and it was simultaneous movement. So you do all your plot, and then both guys would move. Really enjoyed playing those way back in the day. We're just gonna do these by the each. I'm gonna do one before we move into the other one. Prefer counter games to computer ones. I'm just always afraid that I'm playing the game wrong. Allowing myself to do things that I shouldn't be allowed to do. Not because of being nefarious, but just, misunderstood the rules or something. Commando's computer game. Well, I can't say that I played it. You don't mean Hidden and Dangerous, do you? That looks good. I don't know if that comes out okay. That's kind of like the look I like. Next. Alpha Hill games. Yeah, I don't think I had much of a problem understanding most of them. And I grew up playing them. It's called Commandos. Yeah, I don't think I played it. What's your least favorite Avalon Hill game you ever played? I've only used the Vallejo primer. I used to prime using painting everything in Model Master Acryl Black is what I used to use. And then they stopped manufacturing that. Then I find something else. Then I went an enamel one, and then they stopped making that one too. Your favorite would be Luftwaffe. Somebody gave me a used copy of that, and it was in such. I was so not interested in playing that. I ended up didn't even give it away. I threw it in the garbage. It might have been an okay game, but why don't I do short videos of finished models? Well, I don't have time. It slows me down from doing this. Here's a question. Do you think it'd be worth painting miniatures for DBA if you never intended to play, but just like the size of armies for collecting? Yeah, I think so. I think so. You know, one of the good things about the game is you don't have to build that many units before you get to move on to a different army. Let's do several at once. I think the scale of the game is was one of the attractive things about it. You know, the problem with doing specific videos like that, like painted things, is you get this idea, you put a lot of effort in like making a video. And if it's not something I'm dying to do on my own, you're like, I'm doing this because people will be interested in it, maybe. And then nobody is. And then you're like, well, fuck, why did I even do this? Because I wasn't really interested in doing it in the first place. So you kind of have to just say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And if people like it, they'll watch it. If not, you know, it is what it is. It was kind of like the same thing. I was running DBA events for a long time because I wanted it to be people would be interested in playing the game. And there were so many, I got so discouraged by so many people that lived in the same town the convention was going on in, and they wouldn't get up off their ass and show up at the game. You know, they're like, hey, I'm really interested in playing this. I said, oh, cool. Wait 3 months. We'll be there. We'll show you everything we know. And they wouldn't show up. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop doing things for other people. I'm going to do what I want to do. It is my life, you know, and if people show up and they want to be on, cool. If not, you know, that's okay too. But when you start doing things for other people, you start getting this idea, whether you even try it or not, of like, okay, I should get this kind of response. I made a good video, I spent some time doing it, I should get this kind of response. And just sometimes it isn't there. So I don't want to get discouraged doing something that's for other people and then they don't appreciate it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I certainly have experienced it. Like I did DBA videos because I was playing DBA and they're fun to do. If people watched them, cool. If they didn't, also cool. When you get around to it, mind sending me the base size for the units DBA? Well, I'm just going to tell you what they are now because if I don't, I'm not going to get around to doing it. I got a lot of things on my plate in the next, 2 weeks probably. You've got, if you're doing 15 millimeter, the base sizes you need are 40 by 15, 40 by 20, 40 by 30, and 40 by 40. And occasionally you'd need to do a 40 by 60, but that's kind of unusual. So all your heavy infantry types are going to be on 40 by 15s. Pikes, stuff like that. Solid units. All your fast units like skirmishers, auxilia, stuff like that is going to be on 40 by 20s. All your cavalry is on 40 by 30s. Cavalry, knights. And then the 40 by 40s is like artillery and shit like that. Makes great deal of sense. Love your DBA videos and laugh some of your opponents whine about pips and dice rolls. Yep. Yeah, some people just think the dice are out to get them. And I don't switch dice. Fuck them. Oh, dice wants a day off by rolling crap? Tough titty. You're spending the whole day rolling dice, asshole, I don't fall for that crap. I mean, unless the dice is broken, and it's not. The problem is perception is reality. And, yeah, I don't like playing games with people that... I'm okay with whining, but complain and have a bad attitude, like... I've lost so many games that it's just like, whatever, Still watch DBA videos. Cool. I was watching them for a while, but they're all good games. Almost every game of them are good games, close games, entertaining. Oh, the other thing is really weird shit happens. That it's just a shame that nobody else would experience it. You watch the videos, really unlikely things happen. And if I get around to gaming this will be filmed too, because there's just crazy shit that'll happen. But there's a local group. I don't game with them very often. They're more of a board game group. And I don't have a problem with board games as long as the board game doesn't look like shit like Catan or something like that. Not going to get me to play Catan. This local group of guys, other than not playing war games, look, I like playing war games. I'm a devout pacifist every day. So when I go into my fantasy world, I want to commit hate crimes, cart people off to, rape and pillage and all that kind of stuff. And then I can go back to being my, my normal person. But if the game doesn't involve violence, I'm okay. But I do like a game that likes dice. And these guys were anti-war game, anti-history game, and anti-dice. They'd rather play with cards. And you just don't get a good shuffle with fucking cards. You just don't. First of all, I hate shuffling cards. I'd rather go to work than shuffle cards. I suck at it. I've watched several videos. I paint. I don't shuffle fucking cards. Okay? So I'm out with a card thing. And you just don't get... The only way cards work is if you put them in like a big freaking box of like a shoe box and shake the shit out of them out and then draw one randomly. You know, like the game that I play, and I've described how the operations are, the miniatures game for World War II. You, one of the ways that they say is you build a deck of cards that's an action for each guy, and then you make. I didn't do that. I'm putting a chit for each guy, and they go in a freaking Crown Royal bag, and then you pull one out, and then it has somebody's name written on it, and that's what you do. You get a much better shuffle with that, you know. What hell kind of games they're playing? You know, stupid shit. You know. You know, they're nerd burglars. Who knows what kind of games they are? I don't understand gaming and not learning stuff. For me, it's like, you know, I want to play a game because it's fun. I get to participate in something that happened, and then, you know, that kind of gets me interested in reading more about it. You know, it's like a way to participate in history. For me, that's what I enjoy out of it. You know. But like I said before, I don't like playing games and not filming what's happening because there's so many cool things that happen. So I haven't been filming games because I haven't been playing them. You know, glue plastic, not shuffle cards. Yeah, I hate shuffling cards. Well, I found a way to do the headlights that I'm pretty happy with, and I can do pretty consistently. Because I don't want a bunch of stuff that looks like it's been painted by a bunch of different people. It's a cover for a swingers club. Colonial South American history. I don't know much about it. But it's the history part that interests me. Several years ago, we spent a long weekend in Brunswick, Georgia, which isn't very far from here. And there's a place right outside of Brunswick, Georgia, called St. Simon's Island, and there's like battles and shit that happened there in a period that I'm not particularly interested in, 1730s, 1740s, between the British and the Spanish. I didn't know anything about it, but I went in there and you know, and I went to a couple of the sites, and they had the thing here, and it showed what some of the soldiers looked like, and you know and you know, just like kind of like on the side of the road there with the nothing really fancy, but you know, the next thing you know, I'm looking for, you know, reading about the history, who the freaking people were, who makes figures in 15 millimeters. Because you know, I didn't buy any of them, but I mean, it got my juices going. It got my juices going to you know to my inquisitive juices, you know, and that's what really appeals to me. You know, who makes the miniatures? All right, if I was going to build them, what rule sets would I use? You know, that kind of stuff. I didn't act on any of that stuff because I know better than that. I've fallen for that pitfall before, but you know, um, it was just really interesting to kind of process all that. But a lot of people, I've heard they don't like historical games because a lot of people that play historical games, they've said, aren't fun to play games with. Well, look, that's not historical gamers. That's those people. If those people played, a freaking Star Trek role playing game, they're going to suck at that too, They're just not any fun. They're not dynamic. They don't cut up when you don't want to cut up the whole time, but, there's times to be serious and there's times to say, for humor. And some people just don't have a good time while they're playing a game. Well, you need to find another hobby, you know? You need to find another hobby, not ruin mine. So I don't ever see playing another tournament game. I never was a tournament player. Just I started being a tournament player in DBA just because it was a way to play with my own miniatures. Not because of anything else other than that. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's keep track of our wins and losses because it's interesting to talk about. You know, Surrounded by history here, Tony, and didn't even realize it until a few years ago. Well, sometimes you're surrounded by history that just doesn't appeal to you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I really don't like American history. It just doesn't interest me, you know? Um, and there's some people that I have heard them say this, that they don't play anything that's not American history because they can't. There's a guy that I know, he passed away recently, and he's a great painter, and he put out some great games to conventions. And I just was never interested in playing in any of his games because he did themes that just didn't appeal to me because they were in American history. If you think, a war game that's American history, I wouldn't consider World War II, World War One American history things because they're world wars. So what are you left with? American Civil War, War of 1812, uh, Seminole War, Mexican American War, stuff like none of that stuff interests me. None of it. There are time periods that I don't find interesting. The uniforms that they wore are dull, and it just doesn't. It is just. It's not my thing, you know. So you're gonna purchase the most expensive item I've ever gotten if it's still a noble knight when my credit arrives. What is it? You can't play with serious people. Some people just don't want to have a good time. I like to have a fucking good time, you know? I also wouldn't want to play with people with thin skin. Like, oh, you can't say that. You can't. Oh, that's a. Go fly a kite up your ass. I'm old school. We make fun of everything. If you can't handle it, I don't want to play with people like that. You know? But I was getting at about being a competitive player. I'm more interested in the narrative of what's going to happen in this movie that's playing in the tabletop that is just insane. And one of the things in World War II skirmish games, it's really kind of the the MacGuffin? No, not the MacGuffin, because it actually is something. But basically, the plot device for insanity in a skirmish game for World War II is grenades. Grenades are a great plot device because all kinds of stuff happens. They don't go off when you want them to. You throw them one place, they go somewhere else. They go somewhere and they go in the right place, but somebody moves out of the way and they get somebody. Just the insanity that happens just on grenades. And it's not like you have unlimited grenades. You got to husband them and stuff like that. But the antics that happen just with that, when you're talking about an environment that is modern warfare, I would consider World War II modern warfare. and you end up getting in situations that you're not supposed to. Like, somebody breaks into a room that your guys are in, and you got submachine guns, and they're jammed. So you're like swinging shovels and stuff like that. That kind of stuff that you could like visualize. That's not typical combat is, I think, where the flavor is for me. Uniforms, the attraction for me, the age of musketry. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me because everybody has the same style uniform. Like tricorns. Okay, everybody's got tricorns. Sure, they're different colors and they have different badges and stuff like that. Um, you know, ever paint ancient Spartan warriors? No, because everybody else always had them. Doing a Blood Bowl team, but you'll never play. I know several people that really enjoy that game. Okay, Nordic, you got to support one company. Is it Wizards of the Coast or Games Workshop? I don't know much about Wizards of the Coast, but Games Workshop, I don't have a problem with them. I just think that their business model does not align with the way that I do the hobby. It's counterintuitive from what I do it. Um, why should I spend hundreds of hours painting these things for a game that you don't support? You know? You would rather support Games Workshop than Wizards of the Coast? See, I'd rather play a game like some Wizards of the Coast game. Would it be Woke of the Coast? And then just play it in a way they don't want you to play it. Like, oh, we're going to play a fantasy game and you can only play humans. Well, that's not fair. No, that's my world. It's stupid to paint somebody who's dragonkin or whatever. Isn't that one of those things, dragonkin? Like, you're part dragon, but you're still the size of a human. Like, I mean, if dragons and humans can have a byproduct, doesn't it make sense that it would be halfway in size between a human and a dragon, right? Not, 6 foot tall, you know? Draw a line after that. Feels a little close to home. Never thought it might be a desert field. Not to play the older versions of the real Dungeons and Dragons and not give Woke on the Coast any more money. Yeah, I get credit for that. Woke on the Coast. Of course, I call it Woke Disney World. Yeah. Look, I'm fine people playing things however they want, but I don't like people telling me how to do things. It makes me want to do it the other way on purpose. Oh, you're supposed to do it like this. Cool. I'm going to do it anyway but the way you're telling me. Hey, I bought the game. I can play it however I damn well please. Suck on them apples. I wasn't. I didn't grow up being a contrarian. Actually, quite the opposite. But you know, as things go on and people get more and more delusional, I just come to realize, you know what? I've earned my asshole merit badge, and somebody's got to stand up to the stupidity and push back a little bit. Not their target audience, and neither am I. Yep. Nope. Yeah, so I'm playing this Baldur's Gate, and the Dungeons and Dragons I know is the old one, like you do, right? The old one. I'm like, they got all these half breed type things, these demonic satyr looking things with red skins called tieflings or something flings, and I'm like, what the, what the? I'm gonna start the game over. I'm gonna play a character that kills anything with horns. If it remotely looks satanic, you're getting killed. Sorry. You not we can't be allies. Sorry, you look too evil. Sorry. Hey, that's how I choose to play the game. RPGs are intense lot. I would just play a board game for that kind of setting. Most games are a skirmish game with RPG elements. Yeah, that's what I like. Like, what's that one that Dungeon Quest, right? Or is it Warhammer Quest? One of those. Yeah. See, remember, Els being quite a cool character to be. Second was a dwarf. Okay. Got all headlamps done. Man, it looked good all together. Let's see. Can I make that bigger? No, I can't. Let's do this. The camera that's on it right now, that's just the one big camera, actually has really good resolution. Let's see if we can bring this up to the camera. No, we just won't do the last two. Let's see if I can put this into place. I like how they turned out. Just gotta make these things look interesting. Who cares if they're communist trucks? But this is where we're gonna stop for the night. We'll pick back up in the morning, do all these windshields, and they'll be pretty much ready to go until I put these things on and off. I think I'm gonna make them removable. I didn't in this case just because it was, I think it's not removable. Oh yeah, it is. Ooh. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's actually, they're nice little models. I mean, I don't know if they have enough pieces to be really be considered a model. And they look pretty good with the little tarps on them. But no, we're gonna do them in the morning. It's late. It's almost 10 o'clock, and I've been up since 5. So we'll hit the ground running early in the morning, and we'll see you guys then. See you.